Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. It's time to review the latest alligator crocodile horror movie attack. It is called The Flood. Yeah. Hmm.
Don't fuck with them hoes.
Now, The Flood is a 2023 American horror film. It was directed by Brian Sagal and written by Chad Law and Josh Ridgway. Now, the film stars Castor Van Dyne, Nikki Whalen, Louis Mandalorian, and Davini Penn. Now, in this film, a daring jailbreak during a dangerous Louisiana hurricane is interrupted by a horde of large, hungry alligators. Ooh, wait a minute. Didn't we see this before in Crawl? No, horror fans, ever since Steven Spielberg's 1975 summer blockbuster Jaws was released, we've had our fair share of shark attack horror films. Hey, look, we even dedicated a week for Shark Attack as soon as it starts today, which I have to go on ahead and plug my good friend Eric from Hey Internet, it's Eric's. I believe this whole week he's dedicating a whole week of reviewing some very bad shark horror films. I feel sorry for Eric, but that's what he's doing in the channel. So get a free plug for you right there, Eric. You know, from Orca, which is actually a killer whale, but then you have Night of the Sharks, Deep Blue Sea in the Shallows, and some few others. We've had plenty of horror films featuring these fearsome creatures of the sea. However, there is another fearsome creature from the sea that filmmakers are now putting in horror films. That is alligator crocodile attack films. Starting off from the 1980 Jaws ripoff film Alligator, we've seen plenty of these type of films as well in horror films, such as Lake Plastic, Road, Primeval, and of course Crawl, plus some others as well. Now, just like with the shark attack films, these crocodile alligator attack films can either be good or bad. So, American film director Brian Sagal brings us his entry into the subgenre. It's called The Flood. Now, taking place in the fictional town of Latree, Louisiana, we see a group of prisoners on a bus that had to take a pit stop at the local sheriff's office due to Hurricane Gustav ripping through the state. Yeah, I know. Crawl. Now, at the same time, we see a group of bad guys that are following the bus. They eventually go into the office of the precinct where they're preparing to break out to one of the prisoners on the bus. Yeah, Con Air. Now, unable to leave due to the floods, they're stuck at the sheriff's office. The situation becomes worse, or it becomes worse when a group of hungry alligators have come into the office, forcing everyone to work together in order to survive. Yeah, so kind of an interesting premise right there. Obviously, when looking at this film, it's obvious that screenwriters Chad Law and Josh Ridgway took plots from several films with a similar premise, and eventually what they come up with is Con Air meets Crawl. We have prisoners going on the bus instead of a plane. There's a prison breakout that they have planned, but unfortunately, instead of a plane, they're in a prison cell, and it's flooding, and we have a whole bunch of crocodiles, hence Crawl. So it's Con Air meets Crawl. Now, I don't have a problem with combining these two films because we've seen this before, but in this particular film, what we have here is a very bad attempt in what could have been a pretty interesting premise. Because the premise is interesting, and if they'd done everything correctly and executed right, I think this could have been a pretty good horror film. But it's not. The first problem that I have with this film is the directing, as Brian Siegel doesn't give the film any type of atmosphere, let alone any tensions or suspense you need for a film like this. Now, I haven't seen any of his films, but I believe he was a heavy metal singer. He was in the heavy metal before he all of a sudden decided he wanted to become a film director. I don't know, Brian. I think you should have stuck with your first gig. Another problem is how bad this film looks. I mean, this is a very, very poor produced film because one problem is that they use CGI rain in some parts of the film and stock footage of hurricanes in other parts of the film. Now, again, I don't mind if you're going to use stock footage in film because, again, for budget reasons, that's the only thing you can do. But if you're going to use CGI rain, that's a bad sign for you because you want to make the film look realistic. That's why you use stock footage. But you CGI rain in other parts of the film. That's a bad sign right there. Another problem is the acting. The acting is flat. It's bland. As all the actors show little to no emotion, as Brandon can't or doesn't know how to get them to emote when they're giving their lines. There's no effort in the actors to try to bring any life in this film. All they're there is just reciting their lines, and that's it. There is little to no character development, as well as I know we're supposed to care for what happens to Sheriff Joe Newman, played by Australian actress Nikki Whalen. Because we could see in some parts of the film she's looking at a picture that could be her father, but we don't know that because we don't get anything there. The only thing that Nikki Whalen does is that she looks cute. She's a very attractive woman, and she's supposed to be, I guess, she's supposed to be some badass, doing like her Ripley imitations, imitation. But there are parts of the film where she looks like she hasn't lost any makeup. She doesn't look hurt. She doesn't have any type of damage done to her. She just looks, her hair is in place. She's got the makeup on. I mean, you wanted to make it look like she's been through something, but they don't do that in the film. I give her credit. She tries to give life to Joe, but she's hampered by Brad and Josh's script and Brown's lack of direction. And again, there's some unbelievable moments in the film. There's one point where she actually has a machine gun. She's shooting at the croc, but nothing happens in the croc. I mean, come on, the croc should have something happen to him. The same goes for veteran actor Casper Van Dyne. You remember from the Starship Shooters fame, playing a cop killer Cody Russell, but even he can't do anything to make this film worth watching. And the worst part about this film is that the gators that he used are some of the worst CGI effects I ever seen in this type of film before. Now, I've seen some pretty bad CGI effects in this film, but this is the worst. Now, I don't know if the studio was in a rush to get this film made or Brandon simply did not have the budget. But as I stated before, I've seen better CGI effects from Numb and Silent films that air on the Sci-Fi Channel or even films that were released by Wild Eye. I mean, come on, guys. Try to make these gators look somewhat believable, but they don't. They look poor. They're very poor effects. Where's the practical effects in this anyway? It's like the gators bite somebody, but then there's no blood, and that's it. So overall, this is a very poorly produced film with some bad acting, some poor CGI effects, and it lacks anything that would make this a pretty good entry into the crocodile alligator attack subgenre in horror films. Like I said before, we've seen this type of premise before. They could have at least put some effort into it to make this a decent horror film, but it's just bad, 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 bad. After watching Deborah, I did not think I would have to do this again, but I'm going to have to give The Flood zero, zip, nada, no, none of my 5 bloody gold coins. The film doesn't deserve it. Again, as I stated before in my review in Devereaux, I mean, there are bad horror films because they're just simply just not good. Like say again, like Devil's Due, The Apprentice, or The Bye Bye Man, or Slender Man. But at least there's an effort there. Here, there's no effort here. And that's the reason why it gets none of my 5 bloody gold coins. So there you have it. That is my video and review of The Flood. Hope you guys did enjoy it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, and share because it does help out that YouTube algorithm. Have you seen The Flood? Did you actually enjoy this film? If you did, please leave your comments in the comments just below and tell me what you thought about the film. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I said my next video, you guys stay safe out there.